There we go, we're recording. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wonder Quest. It's so good that we're on this adventure together, and I hope that you have been finding some pretty profound moments as we've been going along. I'm Madame Taiba, and I'm speaking to you from Saudi Arabia, actually, this time, no longer in Bali. And with us today is Sarah Payton. Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm very well today.
It's very early where you are, isn't it?
Yes, it's quite early where I am, but I'm on a different time zone anyway, so it makes no difference.
All right, awesome. So as we go ahead into this session, let's get our journals ready, and also let's start to be present. If you can find a space to do this session, tell everyone to leave you alone and sit in your corner, get your journal ready, get your adventurous spirit with you, and pause this recording, do your meditation, find your silence, and then when you're ready, you can come back. All right, so let's do our 3 breaths together. Releasing everything that happened before this session. It's not part of our present moment. There's nothing to come, nothing to worry about. And finally, arriving together in this moment, ready to receive. Sarah Payton is a certified CNVC trainer and neuroscience educator. She integrates brain science and uses the resonant language of to heal trauma. Can you tell us a little more about that, Sarah?
Oh, thank you, Maram. I had a transformative experience some years ago where I was unable to hug my child because of my own early trauma. And the experience of just being acknowledged and held with warmth and care moved me into a space where I was then able to really begin to love without reservation.
Wow.
So I have written a book called Your Resonant Self, and I travel all over the world and I teach about what is the connection between loving ourselves and being connected to the wider world.
Yeah. It sounds like very soothing work that you do. I can hear it in your voice.
It's hugely soothing.
Yeah. So we've been talking about empathy today, and we also did a session about the we consciousness. Can you tell us what your offering is?
Today, what we'll be doing is we'll be just touching very briefly into how self-love is important to be able to move into awe, and what the journey is from awe to humility.
Oh, yeah.
This of being loved by the sense of loving the beauty and the wonder of the world, and then allowing the world to love us and to be a part of everything.
Yeah, I was actually having this conversation just now with someone about how if you're not able to experience self-love, then you're not going to be able to offer it to other people, right? So that's always the starting point on a spiritual journey.
That's always the starting point for the brain itself to be able to participate in the world. Our brains need to kind of know how to hold themselves.
Yeah. All right. So what is, in your opinion, the way in? How do we get in?
The way in, for me, begins with a little bit of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So would you like me to begin?
Absolutely. Yes. Take it away.
All right. So we're just moving into this space of welcoming everyone on this journey, on the Wonder Quest journey. So sweet to be here with everyone.
Oh, it's so sweet to have you.
And to be able to join the we with you and to move into both awe and humility.
Yeah.
So I invite you to begin You had done your 3 breaths with Marm and me. And now, just with a slight bit more of attention to how you're breathing and where your attention goes, I invite you to notice that you are a breathing being, and that when you bring the breath in, you're bringing in a bit of the universe. And as you bring in a bit of the universe, I invite you also to remember that we are made of the stars, that our bodies are made of the stars, and that our brains are unimaginably complex, that within each of us there's a universe of unexpected places for discovery and understanding and deeper self-connection. So allow yourself to notice that you're a breathing being and to notice where you can feel your breath. And invite your attention to rest in the place where you can feel your breath move. Your attention may move away, as attention does. It's always trying to take care of us. Gently and with warmth, see if your attention is willing to come back to your breath. It'll flit away all kinds of places trying to take care of you. It'll try to make sure you know that your back hurts, or it will try to make sure that you remember that you're supposed to pay your taxes, or it'll try to make you aware of a deep worry or love you have for someone else. Gently again with warmth, letting your attention know that it would serve you the best by staying focused just for this minute. You can worry later. See what it is like to have affection for your own attention. To see it as a wandering puppy or a toddler, a little bit of a worried little being that needs to be nestled and held. How is it to be in a relationship of warmth and affection with your own attention? We're all worthy of, we're all in the presence of the possibility for emotional warmth for self and other. And what might be a little bit surprising is that if we can, it's easiest to feel compassion for others. It's easiest to feel compassion for the world. But the hardest thing is to bring our attention to ourselves, to have compassion for ourselves. So what's nice and reassuring is to know that if we can have compassion for everybody else, or for anybody else, or for any small being that's in need of support and love and empathy and care, we can actually have this compassion and empathy for ourselves. Everybody has this capacity to feel tenderness for another. And this means that your circuitry is working. It's just this strange invitation to switch it inward. So I invite you to just notice that you could imagine having compassion for something outside yourself and then move yourself into that and allow yourself to receive it for a little moment. If we can feel warmth for nature, we can feel it for ourselves. If we can feel awe for the world as it is created, we can also feel awe about ourselves as a part of creation. The metaphors that let us understand love are based on body comfort and physical experiences of warmth and softness. And we have all had physical experiences of warmth and softness. This is an invitation to bring warmth and softness and this funny step into awe back to ourselves. As we move into a sense of being deeply connected to ourselves. Our brains each have 86 billion neurons in them. There's no way to even begin to touch our infinite nature. And we live on a beautiful, beautiful planet that has so many amazing moments to offer us. A moment of a wave lapping in on sand, the moment of being in relationship with moss itself, with like just allowing ourselves to think of a moment where you saw a pillowy green mound of moss, and allowing yourself to notice what it would be like to be a little tiny being in the middle of this incredible soft green beauty. Let yourself experience dipping in to being very, very small in our world. We already are very, very small in our world. I'm just going to give you a moment to be with your journal and to be in relationship with what it's like to be a tiny, tiny being on a huge, beautiful planet. Choose a landscape that you love the most and let yourself kind of dip into this landscape. What does this landscape feel like? What does it smell like? What is the most beautiful, beautiful place that you've been? The change that happens for us happens in these moments of self-connection. We're changed neuron by neuron as we begin to delve into, dip into the experience of being a tiny human on a huge and beautiful planet, a planet that we all belong to. Here's the prompt for you to be able to pause the recording. You can take 5 minutes to write. You can take as many moments to write as you would like. Start with the memory of the landscape that has moved you most in your life. And for a moment, let yourself feel what it was like to be in the presence of that landscape. A moment when the world moved you and you were stunned with awe and reverence for our world. What happens when you allow yourself also to be loved by that landscape? Does it break any of your unconscious contracts to let yourself fully belong? Imagine that there's even an alternate universe where you, in your body, just as you are, fully belong, that your weight is welcome and beloved by the earth, that every molecule of you is beloved as life is beloved on this planet. If you can catch this at all, how does your body feel when you belong and you are loved? Holding on to this view of what it's like to be you in relationship with the land. Let this landscape expand so that you realize that this landscape touches all of the other landscapes of the earth. that this landscape is a huge and beautiful planet that you have touched one tiny bit of in this moment, but that you are also touching the whole of. Let yourself step into the understanding that this earth loves life and that it holds all human and non-human animals of this planet with reverence and tenderness, no matter what is happening for them, no matter where they are in their life journey, being born, struggling, loving, dying, that all of life is held with reverence and tenderness, and that you are a part of it. If you would like to, you can let yourself perceive gravity as the love of the earth holding us here. And now let yourself notice, what is it like to be one of many? What is it like to be just one of all of the human and non-human animals and plants that are being held with tenderness? How is it to be a part of everything? Not to be better than, not to be worse than, but simply to be loved in honor of the very individual life that lives within you. And if you let yourself exist as a particular and beloved being among many, what happens with your body's sensations? We've taken the journey from awe to humility, from being one person appreciating everything, to being held by and a part of everything. Our experience here encompasses two parts of being in the we. One is a part of merging and communion. It is the experience of awe. And the movement to humility is a natural one. As we allow ourselves to be moved into humility, we become more available to all of life that we touch. If we are not separate from, and if we are not better than, and if we are not set apart by being worse than, then each human that we meet, whether they are a baby in a stroller, whether they are a baby in somebody's arms, whether they are a child bouncing a ball, whether they are a teenager smoking off with other teenagers, whether they are a harried shop owner, or whether they are a person who looks like we would never have a conversation with them, a random banker in a Brooks Brothers suit in an elevator, or a woman who is so beautiful that she stuns us and we imagine that she would never even look in our direction, or a person who is so old that their back is bent over and they're kind of their heads curved down looking at the ground. Each person becomes for us infinite, an infinite being. And we are taken out of our usual constricted views of who we matter to and who matters to us. We're transformed by humility. Our brains are literally changed by humility. The place where we dwell in our own being shifts from a self-centric place to a joined place of connection and beauty. The beauty of each being on an entirely different and deeper level than we usually experience. Humility invites us into sacred participation in the whole. And the neuroscience of how we are shifted can be seen in scans of the brain, that the location of our attention, remember that affection for the attention that we began with, the attention gets to be invited to shift into a different sense of self. And this different sense of self is a foundational piece of the mysticism of all religions and all spirituality. That when we step into a place of deep humility, we understand that we love the earth, but that the earth also loves us. That we love the divine, but that the divine also loves us. That we are irreplaceable. That we bring a gift that cannot be changed for someone else's, cannot be replaced by someone else's. That each bit of life is brought into a deep relational connection with all that is. Yeah. Thank you, Maram, for giving me an opportunity to talk about one of my most beloved and favorite things.
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. I found that to be very soothing. I was deeply moved by this experience, and if I can just share with you exactly where I felt my portal into self-love and empathy happened was when you mentioned the moss. I have I have this ridiculous love for moss. And when you mentioned the moss, I remembered a moment, because I was spent the past 2 months in Bali, and I just arrived in Saudi Arabia, and I remembered very clearly a moment when I was walking up the stairs, and the stairs were just covered with this beautiful carpet of moss, and I stopped and I kneeled down, and I remember just being fully present with the moss. I just put my hands on it and just listen to it, and then things started to happen, and I started to cry, and it was really beautiful. And the thing also that happened was, because we were entering into the world of self-love and empathy, I felt like a counter force happened where I started remembering every mistake I did over the past week, whether it was professional or with other people, or, regarding my own health. And I found, these two forces coming together and reconciling with one another. It was a very interesting experience.
Oh, it sounds beautiful and transcendent, and very much like this whole journey of awe and humility.
Yeah, and I could feel it in you as well. I feel like you reach that point, the breakdown point, where you just break down in awe. I could feel it coming from you. Yeah. Thank you so much. This
Thank you so much,
was
Mom.
exquisite.
What an opportunity.
Yeah. So Sarah is going to be with us today on the Facebook group, and you can ask her questions about her practice. You can share your experiences. How did this session feel to you? It would be so lovely to hear from you guys. And she's going to be there and engage with you. She can answer your questions. So can you tell us about your free gift, Sarah?
The free gift is one of the things that's so important to know about the brain is that we are deeply changed by the language that we use. And and we can use language in ways that disconnect us from other people, and we can use language in ways that bring us very close to others.
Hmm.
And I have an 8-week online class that I'm giving to this audience for free in honor of this journey that you would get to take a look at what kinds of language move us closer to each other. What kind of language moves us closer to awe? What
Yeah.
kind of language takes us away and makes us separate? So that will be what is available for
Yeah,
the people.
that's a beautiful piece that you're offering for, especially for us, especially if we're new to this experience of connecting to awe
Mhm.
and being able to feel empathy and to feel the largeness of the we consciousness and to be able to connect with others. It's a good tool to have,
Yeah.
yeah, to connect. So
Mhm.
thank you so much. This is so lovely, and I love your gift. And you guys, you can find the gift underneath the video on Sarah's page. And yeah, so connect with your journal and follow the prompts if they appeal to you. Share what you have. I love hearing from you guys. It's been so amazing listening to your stories and listening to your experiences. And remember, you do not have to be a writer to do this. It's your own personal, intimate experience. Nobody's looking. It's just you and your own consciousness. Yeah, so use your colors, use your scribbles, get creative, and I'll see you guys next time.